सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीं अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। There are 70 verses.
अमानित्वमदम्भित्वम्
अहिंसा क्षान्तिरार्जवम् आचार्योपासनं शौचम् स्थैर्यमात्मविनिग्रहः इन्द्रियार्थेषु वैराग्यम् अनहंकार एव च जन्म मृत्युजरा व्याधि दुःखदोषानुदर्शनम् असक्तिरनभिष्वङ्गः पुत्रदारगृहादिषु नित्यं च समचित्तत्वम् इष्टानिष्टोपपत्तिषु मयि चानन्ययोगेन भक्तिरव्यभिचारिणी विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम् अरतिर्जन संसदे Aratirjana samsadi
Adhyatmajnana nityatvam
Adhyatmajnana nityatvam
Tattvajnanartha darshanam
Tattvajnanartha darshanam
Etadjnanamiti proktam
Etadjnanamiti proktam
Ajnanam yadatonyatha
Ajnanam yadatonyatha.
In these 5 verses, Lord Krishna prescribes some 20 values which a seeker of knowledge should necessarily imbibe, because practicing these values such as ahimsa, non-violence, amanitvam, humility, kshama, forgiveness, putting these values into practice enables us to slowly overcome our impulses, negative impulses. As I said yesterday, we have within us all the divine qualities such as love, compassion, non-violence, truthfulness. All these divine qualities are inherently there in us, in all of us. But because of ignorance, the opposite tendencies, we are called demoniac tendencies, asuri sampatti or demoniac tendencies, they also have entered into our mind, such as anger, such as greed, such as jealousy. These are also there. So in our mind, these two opposite kind of tendencies are there. And of these, the divine tendencies such as non-violence, truthfulness are natural, are our nature. They are the nature of the self. Self or Atma or consciousness by nature is non-violent, unopposed to anything, sustaining everything, supporting everything. Whether something is good or bad, Atma, the self, sustains everything. Just as gold is equally present in all the ornaments. Whether the ornament is well shaped or ornament is ugly, ornament is small, ornament is large, regardless of how the ornament is, how the gold is equally present in all of them, sustaining all of them, unopposed to all of them. So also Atma, the self, the consciousness, sustains everything in the universe. We may classify things as good or bad, but this truth transcends both good and bad, sustains both of them and transcends both of them. Therefore, the self is non-violent by nature. The truthfulness is the nature of the self. So these values which we are taught are in keeping with the nature of our own self. Therefore, whenever we act in accordance with these values such as non-violence, such as truthfulness, then we are acting in keeping with our own nature. And therefore, there is a harmony within ourselves. On the other hand, when we violate this value, deliberately, if I hurt somebody, deliberately, if I tell a lie, deliberately, if I cheat, then I am acting against my own nature, and thus creating a conflict within myself. Therefore, practicing these values is being in keeping with nature, is conducive to inner harmony, inner peace, inner tranquility. It is our experience that whenever we speak truth, and we'll see, sometimes speaking truth is difficult. Sometimes it requires me to perhaps sacrifice something which otherwise I would like to have. It may be difficult, but when I do that, when I exercise sufficient self-control and speak the truth, even though it may involve a certain amount of loss on my part, I feel good about it. There is peace within myself. Therefore, practicing these values is conducive to creating an inner harmony, inner tranquility, inner purity. Practicing non-violence, for example, requires me to necessarily keep under check my impulse of violence. I must keep under check anger, greed, these impulses. Then alone I can act non-violently. Therefore, practicing these values requires us to keep under check our negative impulses, and thus in course of time these negative impulses or demoniac tendencies become subdued, and ultimately they essentially get eliminated in long run of time, and thus I acquire a mind, I acquire a personality that enjoys peace or peace with itself, tranquility, purity. Lord Krishna says that we require a mind like that. We require a mind that enjoys tranquility, a mind that enjoys purity, in order that the words of the scriptures become real for us. They just do not remain concepts, but they become reality for us. When then I am told that, hey, you are limitless, I can see that fact. Therefore, what we require for the knowledge to take place is that state of mind, which is called inner purity, inner tranquility. And that mind can be acquired by practicing these values. Therefore, we should note that these values are very valuable to us. Of course, most valuable to me is myself. I am the most valuable to myself. And therefore the knowledge of the self becomes valuable. And therefore the mind which is conducive for that knowledge becomes valuable. And therefore these values which create that mind also become valuable. Understand? The self or the I is most valuable to me. Because the nature of self is happiness, is wholeness, is completeness, and therefore there is a natural love for myself. Whatever I do for a pleased self. So the pleased self is most valuable to me. And therefore the knowledge of the pleased self becomes valuable. And therefore this purity of mind which is conducive to that knowledge becomes valuable. And therefore these values which bring about that purity of mind also become valuable. Understand? So first of all, we should know these values are very valuable to us. That we stand to gain by practicing these values. And we stand to lose by compromising these values. By practicing the value, I am only helping myself by creating a certain purity of the mind. And by compromising or violating the value, I am myself creating conflict within myself, hurting myself. Therefore, practicing this value is helping myself. Compromising or violating the value is hurting myself. This should become clear to us. The value should become valuable to us. Right now, other things are also valuable to us. Understand that we are born with a natural love for these values. We are born with a natural love for truthfulness. We are born with a natural love for non-violence. And therefore, given an opportunity, I would want to practice, I would want to be truthful, I would want to be non-violent if given an opportunity. But then if there is natural love, Swami, for truthfulness, then why does a person tell a lie? Why does a person cheat? Because there is inner pressure. Some other things are also valuable to us. There are natural values and there are acquired values. What are natural values? We are born with love for ourselves. And these values being of the nature of the self, this is a natural love for the values also. Each one of us basically loves truthfulness. Then under what conditions do I tell a lie? Because of some inner compulsion, some inner pressure. What puts pressure on me? What pressurizes me to tell a lie? What we call acquired values. See, in course of upbringing in this society, we see that our elders and other members of society, they all value these material things also, meaning that the money is valuable. People give a lot of value to money, to prestige, to image, to power, to recognition. So we find that in the world, this wealth, name, fame, recognition, power, these also are considered very valuable by people. And therefore, as I grow up in the society, I also start giving value to these. When I was small, I was a toddler. You know what a toddler does? There is a phase. When you tear up whatever paper comes in your hand, just tear up. So generally my mother is watching. She is, even though she is doing her chores, she is watching. And I tear up some newspapers and said, she doesn't know why. One day, one green piece of paper came in my hand, I started tearing that, and my mother ran, no, don't tear that, that is money, don't tear that. As a child, I could not understand why I should not tear, but anyway, I could realize that this green piece of paper is something special. Then I grew up somewhat. I went with my mother when she was going for shopping. I also accompanied her. Normally mother would avoid taking me for shopping because when I go to the shop I start demanding money. She says, I'm not going to take you. No, Mom, I will not ask for anything, okay? Take me with you. So she takes me, she goes into the store. I'm standing near the counter. 10-15 minutes she comes back. So on the counter, there are big jars containing these chocolates and candies. So I asked that fellow standing on the cash counter, I said, give me one. He says, no. I kept on asking, that fellow refused. Mother came, having finished the shopping. I told my mom, he doesn't give me this candy. Then mother took out that green piece of paper and gave it to that fellow and he gave a candy. Then I realized, If you have a green piece of paper, if you have money, then you can get candies. Then I saw as I grew up, if you have money, you get balloons, you get toys, you get variety of things. And that's how money was not important to me until that point. But toys are important to me, therefore money became important to me. And then my father was a manager in a bank in India. During Diwali, so many people would come and bring gifts for my father because he was a manager. He had a position of importance. Whenever my mother needed some chore to be done, then she would call my father. He would send some peon from the bank, and the work would be done. I could see that my father enjoyed a position of power, position of importance. He can get things done. That is how power became important to me. So as I was growing up, wealth or money, power, name, fame, all of these things started being important to me. It was very clear why money is important, why it was evident to me. Thus, I started valuing these things also. So now I have two sets of values. One is the natural values I am born with. Value for truthfulness, non-violence is a value we are all born with. They are the natural values. Because those values are in keeping with the nature of our own self. Therefore, we naturally love them. At the same time, there are these acquired values, value for money, value for power, value for name, fame, recognition. These are acquired values. No, value for money is very evident to me. I know what you can get by money. I know what is there to gain by power. This is very clear to me. But what do I stand to gain by truthfulness is not clear to me, understand? In our Swamiji's words, the value for money is an assimilated value. Value for recognition is assimilated value. Whereas I do have value for truthfulness, it is not assimilated. I don't know what I stand to gain by being truthful. I don't know that. Therefore, when there is a conflict between these two values, on one hand there is money, on the other hand there is truth or honesty. Since value for money is an assimilated value, therefore it often wins and the truth or the honesty loses the ground. So that is how we find ourselves compromising the values or violating the values because of the value for these acquired values. So when can I remain an honest person? When I can control or I can be firm against my temptations. And when would that be? If I understand that honesty is more valuable than money or power or any other worldly things, it is more important. If this is what is assimilated by me, then it will be possible for me to follow these values. That is important that we should assimilate the value. These values should become valuable to us, more valuable than the worldly things. Swami, what do I gain by being truthful? What do I gain by being honest? What do I gain by being a kind person? I know what I gain by having money. I know what I gain by having power. What do I gain by those values? And you say, these values are in keeping with the nature of our own self. And therefore, whenever I practice value, there is harmony, peace and happiness within myself. Whenever I violate the value, there is a conflict, unhappiness. So ultimately what do I want? Even money is valuable to me for what reason? Because I look upon money as a means of happiness. Is it not so? Why should money, ultimately what is valuable to me is happiness? Call it a pleased self or happiness. And if the process of acquiring money, I lose that very happiness by creating a conflict, what is there to gain? So by compromising value or by violating value, I may outwardly gain something which is gross or something, which is gross, something like money, etc. The gain of gross is the loss of something subtle, in loss of the peace of mind, loss of my self-control. As I violate the values, I become more and more controlled by my impulses, by my temptations, by my anger. And a person who is controlled by these impulses is a slave, is a bound person, is an unhappy person. An angry man can never be happy. A greedy person can never be happy. A jealous person cannot be happy. If I allow these impulses to rule my mind, I can never expect to be a happy person. So understand that in the very process of acquiring happiness by violating values, I am losing the very happiness. Understand that. So when you understand this, then the values become valuable to us. So these values, as Lord Krishna teaches, are very important, no doubt, for a spiritual seeker in the pursuit of knowledge, no question about it. But as we said yesterday, even in living our day-to-day life also, these values are very important. Because, as you said yesterday, for being happy, for enjoying something, not only do I require an object of enjoyment, a means of enjoyment, I also require a mind which has a capacity to enjoy. To enjoy food, not only do I require delicious food, I also require a mind which is available to me to enjoy that food. If while eating the food, my mind is overcome with anxiety, with fear, with stresses, then the food is of no value to me. Like this young man in the morning is ready to go to work, the mother has cooked breakfast, placed on the table, this fellow had the shower, he dressed up, quickly had the breakfast, and started leaving. So mother asked him, "Hey, how was the upama?" "Oh, wonderful, ma'am, wonderful." After he leaves, when mother tastes the upama, she finds there was no salt at all. But that fellow's mind was not there. While eating, his mind was elsewhere. So when the mind is not with me, I can't enjoy what is. To enjoy what is, it is necessary that the mind should be with me. But that poor mind which is overcome by these impulses of anger, etc., is not available to me. Therefore, even to enjoy our day-to-day life, we require a mind which is together. And that is possible only when we follow these values. So following the value, practicing them, is required for enjoying the life. And a beautiful thing is that if you possess a mind which is cheerful, purity of mind means cheerfulness of mind. If you enjoy a mind that is cheerful, you don't need anything else to be happy really. Because you are the source of happiness. And the mind is where the happiness manifests. If the mind is clean, is pure, happiness manifests there. Thus, we discover an inner poise, an inner cheerfulness, inner happiness, inner freedom. Practicing the values creates an inner freedom, which ultimately leads me to the total ultimate freedom called moksha. And that is why these values are looked upon as a means of moksha or means of knowledge. Yesterday, we started discussing the first words. First value was amanitvam, humility. Manitvam and amanitvam. Manitvam, a state of mind which demands respect. Amanitvam, a mind which is free from demand of respect. So, we have this tendency that we demand respect from others. And when we are not respected, we feel hurt, we feel insulted, we feel hurt, we feel rejected. We feel accepted by others when we are respected. We feel rejected by others when we are not respected. So this tendency of demanding respect creates a big ground for a feeling of hurt. Most of our hurt comes from a sense of being rejected. And this sense of rejection comes when we are not respected. Again, the respect also should come in on my terms. You might respect me from your standpoint, but if I do not look upon that as respect, then I don't feel respected. So we discussed yesterday amanitvam. Let us look at our mind. Let us become aware of the tendencies in our mind. When we find that I am seeking respect, I am asking for respect, I am demanding respect, I work with my mind and tell my mind, look mind, respect should be commanded and not demanded. A demanded respect does not have much value. When I demand respect from you, you might respect me just to please me. Or you respect me because I am important to you, or you are scared of me, therefore you may respect me. But that doesn't really have a content of respect. And when I demand respect from you, it is quite likely that you will demand respect from me also. And thus this becomes a big tussle, demanding respect from each other. So respect is best given rather than demanded. Some of you may be familiar with Vishnu Sahasranam. Some of you may be. In that, there are these names, Amani Manado Manyo, Lord Vishnu, Amani Manado Manyo, Lokaswami, Trilokadaru, etc. So this Bhagavan, or God, is called Amani Manadaha. Amani, one who does not demand respect. One who does not require to be respected, of course, in his case. Manada, but who gives respect. So ideally we should become like that. Amani, one who doesn't demand respect. Manada, one who gives respect. There was a great saint in Bengal. His name was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You must have heard his name. He has written some very beautiful verses. In one of the verses, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes how a devotee of God should be. Trunadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sada harihi. How should a devotee be? Trunadapi sunichena. Trunam means grass. How the grass is actually lowly, is trampled upon by everybody and still doesn't mind. So one who looks upon oneself as more lowly than even grass, tarohapi saishnuda, one who is saishnu, one who has forbearance more than that of a tree. So tree is known for the forbearance, for suffering. Suffers heat, cold, rain, everything. And gives us protection, gives us shade. Tarohapi Savishnu. A bhakta should be Sahishnu. He must have the forbearance. Putting up with the hardships and difficulties that come. Amanina manadena. How is Amani? Is to the one who does not demand respect. Manadena, one who gives respect to everybody. Kirtaniya Sadahari is an ideal devotee for worshipping God, Lord. So Manadena, one thing that everybody loves or wants is respect. So give respect. Giving respect may be more important, more valuable to a person than even giving money sometimes. Even if you give something to somebody with disrespect, the fellow may not want it, may not accept it. So respect is best given rather than demanded. Respect is best commanded rather than demanded. Because demanding respect creates only the ground for being hurt. But every time other person may not be in a position or in a mood or disposed to respect me. And therefore, there is always likelihood of my being hurt. So next time, whenever you feel hurt, look at the mind. Why am I hurt? What did I expect from somebody? Because I was hurt by this person. What did I expect? I must have expected something, some respect, and they did not come forth. Therefore, I felt hurt. So this demanding respect creates a lot of hurt and a lot of pain, a lot of unhappiness. Therefore, amanitvam, freedom from this tendency of demanding respect. More egoistic a person is, more demanding of respect that person demands more respect. And therefore also it is important that we let go this tendency of demanding respect. That's how our ego also will become subdued. So amanitvam. Next value, Lord Krishna, adambhitvam. Absence of hypocrisy or absence of pretentiousness. To pretend to be something other than what I am is called dambha in Sanskrit. Dambha is posing to be different from what I am. Meaning, showing or displaying qualities which I do not possess. And therefore, I want to that way really cheat, that some cheating is involved here. Hypocrisy is involved, cheating is involved, fraud is involved in dambha. So sometimes people are very smart. By their speech, by their dress, by their appearance. They create an impression of something other than what they really are. It's called Dambha, which also each one of us has in varying measures. This demanding respect also each one of us has. And Dambha or pretentiousness, pretending to be different from what I am also, is there. That is because sometimes we do not accept the realities of life. When I grow old, my hair is naturally going to turn grey. But I don't accept it. Therefore, I dye my hair. There may be wrinkles on my face. Again, I do not accept that. Therefore, I apply whatever I do for, so the wrinkles do not show up. These are some very gross examples I am giving you, of how we try to, I am not saying you don't do that, but I am saying that we try to appear different from what we are because we are hesitant to reveal what we truly are. We hesitate or we avoid showing our blemishes or defects. Therefore, we try to hide them. Now, of course, at the level of body, etc., is okay. The society requires that you should have an appearance and therefore you may do that. That's okay. But even at the level of mind also, I display a smile where in fact I do not really like that person, but still I display a smile. So that person does not find out that I do not like that person. So this tendency on our part to hide what we call these defects or blemishes or shortcomings, and not only hide them, but where there is a shortcoming, in fact I show the opposite of that. I show myself to be a learned person where I have not have any knowledge of the topic. I claim to have written books which I have never written. I make claims to things that I have never done or that I don't have. These are all the examples of dambha or pretension. Other definition of dambha is proclaiming or making known what I have done. Dharma dhvajitvam. I may have given some charity, I announce that to the world that I have done this. So I may have done something good also. But then to make it known to other people so that in eyes of other people I look good or I look respectable. So this dambhitvam is somewhat different from manitvam. A person who is a mani or demanding respect demands respect for the qualities that he has. But a dambhi or pretending person demands respect for what he does not have. And this arises on account of our not accepting the realities about ourselves. I realize that I have certain shortcomings and I do not accept my own shortcomings. I do not accept my own self. And therefore, I do not want you to know my shortcomings. Therefore, I present myself as something different from what I truly am. Dambha or pretentiousness. In that, as I said, dishonesty is involved, cheating is involved, hypocrisy is involved. This is also a tendency which only creates a lot of unhappiness within me because it creates conflict. I know that what I am saying is different from what I truly am. Swami, how old you are? See, when you ask me how old I am, depends. If I am 50, I'll say I am 40. If I am 60, I'll say I am 50. If I am 75, I'll say I am 85, That's another thing. See, even though 85 looks so young. Just to impress other people. What is your salary? If I am getting actually 10,000 rupees a month, I say 15,000 rupees a month. 25,000 rupees a month, I say. Why? Because what is 10,000 rupees? That shows that really I am not a well-paid person. I do not want to appear like that, and therefore I claim to gain a salary which is much more than what I am actually getting. Just to project myself as a successful person, as an important person, as a valuable person. This need to present myself as a great person, as a successful person, as an accomplished person, makes me present myself as different from what I am. And this tendency is there in all of us in varying degrees. We should watch out for this and work with our mind and try to be as honest as we can. I'm not saying that we should declare our blemishes or we should declare our shortcomings to the world. I'm not saying that. But if an occasion comes when a shortcoming has to be declared, I should be ready to do that. This is my salary. That's all you get, that's all I get. But what will he think about, You think that I am no good, I am not successful. Well, let him think. Main problem is, I don't have a problem with him, I have a problem with myself. Because I do not accept myself who is not successful. I don't accept myself who is not well paid. I don't accept myself who is not well educated. I don't accept myself who is not well accomplished. And therefore, I project myself as different from what I am. Because I want, again, respect from the people, acceptance from the people, approval from the people. There's need to be approved by others. The need to be accepted by others. I do not want to be rejected by others. I want to please others. The need to please others. The need to be approved by others. The need to be accepted by others. Why is that need there? Because I do not approve myself. Therefore, need to be approved by others. Because I do not accept myself, therefore the need to be accepted by others. So we should become aware of this tendency in us and recognize that by doing that I am only cheating myself and hurting myself. And I should become as honest as I can, as simple as I can, as straightforward as I can. So the mitva, pretentiousness, is also a tendency which we do possess because of our inferiority complex, because of self-non-acceptance, because of self-not-respecting, because of self-not-accepting, I'm not approving myself, not accepting myself, not respecting myself. Therefore, I should learn to respect myself as I am. Learn to accept myself as I am. This is how Ishvara has created me. Everybody is unique. And why do I have to be somebody else? See, everybody wants to be somebody else. I think that fellow is really successful. That's why I want to be him or her. I don't have to be somebody else. I can accept and respect myself as I am. For the very simple reason. Understand, when you come to Vedanta, understand that all these shortcomings ultimately belong to the body. The old age belongs to body. The wrinkles belong to the body. The grey hair belong to the body. They don't belong to self. All limitations are in what we call upadhi. Who am I? I am a union of these two entities, person and personality, Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha means the self or consciousness. Prakriti means the personality made up of my body, sense organs, mind, intellect. So body, senses, mind, intellect, that makes my personality. That is my costume. Who am I? I am the self. The conscious being who is wearing this costume, who has this personality. So what's my true nature? My true nature is a person. That's my true nature. So where are limitations? Limitations are not in person. All limitations, shortcomings, blemishes, whatever it is all in the personality, is all in the body, in the mind, in the intellect. And they are always going to be limited. Regardless of what I do with my body, with my sense organs, with my mind, with my intellect, I can never be perfect at that level. And therefore, I don't do demand from myself that I should be a perfect person. I am making demand from myself. I should be a perfect person. I should be a successful person. I should be an accomplished person. I should be like somebody else. Don't do that. Don't demand on from yourself. Don't punish yourself. Don't hurt yourself. Respect yourself for what you are. But Swamiji, the world does not respect me. That is the world's problem. And remember that you are the person, the consciousness, the self who is perfect. And this personality is imperfect by nature. The person, the self is perfect by nature. That's what you are. And the personality made up of body, etc. is imperfect by nature. What we are doing? We are superimposing imperfections of the personality upon the person and branding ourselves imperfect. And then suffering. So, remind yourself. Vedanta teaches that as person, as self, I am a complete being. There is no lack, no want in me. All lack and want, it all belongs to the personality. They don't belong to I. I am the knower. You know that the body has its limitation. How do you know? Because you are the knower. So remind yourself of Vedantic teaching. And that way also disassociate from identification with the limitations of the body. Or brand or judge yourself based on them. So let me not judge myself based on my personality. Let me not judge myself as incomplete or inadequate based on the incompleteness or inadequacies of this personality. So this way we can work upon ourselves, on our habits, and slowly overcome this habit of pretending to be different from what I am, or again seeking respect from others by proclaiming what all wonderful things I have done. There are some people who always have this, they always keep on praising themselves. You know, I did this, I did that, I went to this college, I had this degree, I had this job, I had this recognition, I had this salary. There is a sannyasi, Hiranansi, says, you know something? You know what position I was offered? I just gave it up. You know what kind of house I had? I left it. You know what job I had? I left it. You know all my wealth? I gave away. That was done 30 years ago. But he keeps repeating that, Meaning that in the mind he is still not given up. He still thinks that he is great because of those things and not because of what he is right now. Anyway, and so we can never be perfect and never be great at the level of personality. However great you are, you always find somebody greater than you. Because this is how the personality is. And therefore, accept, respect yourself as you are. If possible, enjoy yourself as you are. Then there will be not need to pretend to be different from what I am. We are not saying that you announce your shortcomings or defects before the world. That's not necessary. At the same time, with all humility, accept what you are. That's what Ishvara, this body is created. Ishvara, I have not created it. Ishvara has given me. This is how my eyes are. What can I do? That's what is given to me. My ears are this shape. What can I do? People used to tease me, because my ears are like this and nose is like that. What can I do? Not that I should be proud, nor should I condemn myself. Lord Krishna says, Uddharet Atmana Atmanam Natmanam Avasadet Atmanam Na Avasadet. You should not look down upon yourself. You should not reject yourself. Nor should you be proud of yourself. You should be accepting yourself with all humility. Adambhitvam. Amanitvam, adambhitvam. Absence of pride, absence of pretentiousness. Lord Krishna prescribed these values because these are all commonly found in everybody. Then we proceed further. The third value is ahimsa. Most well-known value, non-violence. Pranam apidanam, not hurting other living beings. Ahimsa, non-hurting. Whom? Other living beings, whatever they are. The living beings include not only other human beings, but living beings also include all animals and plants, trees, plants, insects, all the whole living kingdom. A value on my part that I should refrain from hurting any other creature. Of course, most importantly, human beings. Usually our violence is towards human beings only. We are not violent towards trees and we are not violent towards rocks and stuff like that. Mostly we are violent towards other human beings. Which is so sad, so sad. Because other human beings insult me, hurt me, and therefore I retaliate towards them and I hurt them. Ahimsa, or non-violence, is the most fundamental value. It is one value which will bring all the values with it. Therefore, in Yoga Shastra, when they prescribe the 5 yama or don'ts, first is ahimsa. Ahimsa, satyam, ahimsa, satyam, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. Ahimsa, non-violence, non-hurting. Satyam, non-falsehood. Asteyam, non-stealing. Brahmacharya, non-indulgence. Aparigraha, non-hoarding. In each case, it is negative, what you should not do. So somebody says, Swamiji, wait a minute. We are told, don't tell somebody what they should not do. Tell them what they should do. We are told our children, we should not tell our children what they should not do. Tell them what they should do. How come scriptures are telling us what we should not do? Because we have tendency to do those things, therefore. We have tendency to hurt or violate. tendency to tell lies. This being there, therefore we are told. So non-violence. This is a fundamental value because everybody loves non-violence. As the Swamiji says, everybody has this basic need. I want to be happy. I want to live and live happily. Every living being wants, I want to live and live happily. And I do not want anybody else to come in my pursuit of life, happiness and freedom. I want to live happily, live with freedom. And I do not want anybody else to come in my way of my pursuit of happiness and freedom. Correct? This is what everybody basically wants. The second part of this is that, or unfortunately, I know that the other person also expects that. So, we are all very clear about what we expect from other people. That others should not hurt me. They should not cheat me. They should not tell me lies. They should not steal something that belongs to me. What they should not do, I am very clear. What they should do, then also I am clear. They should be kind to me. They should love me. If I am at fault, they should forgive me. We are all in agreement as far as what we expect from others, what others should do and what others should not do to me. We are all in agreement to this. Therefore, this is a universal value. The point is, what I expect from others is what others expect from me. And I know that. I know that just as I do not want somebody else to hurt me, I know that the other person also does not want me to hurt him or her. They don't want me to cheat them. They do not want me to lie to them. They do not want me to insult them. They want me to respect them. They want me to love them. They want me to forgive them. They want me to be kind to them. So this also we are very clear as human beings. That's not the case with all creatures, by the way, A cat doesn't know. A cat knows what it expects from others. A cat expects that others should not hurt her. That a dog should not hurt her. A mouse should not hurt. But a cat does not know that mouse also expects that from her. Understand this. Therefore, when a cat makes a mouse its breakfast, it has no sense of guilt at all. Does not feel that it has done anything wrong. On the other hand, when you or I wind up hurting somebody, having said something that hurts somebody's feelings, we have a sense of guilt. We know that we have done something wrong. So when we violate somebody by our words, by our deeds, by our thoughts, we can hurt others by our thoughts, by our words, by our deeds. In three ways we can hurt them. So whenever we find that we hurt somebody by our action, by our words, then we feel guilty. We know that we have done something wrong. How do we know? Because I know that I know that I expect the other person should not have said those words to me, should not have insulted me. So when I insult, I know that I've done something wrong, and that's what creates a sense of guilt in me. Only human being suffers from guilt. No other creature suffers from guilt. A cat has no guilt. As an example, a dog has no guilt. If they had guilt, they could not survive, by the way. For their survival, they are free from guilt. See, in the nature, there is this rule, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. One life form depends upon another life form. One life depends upon other life. So a cat could not survive unless it depended upon other life. And therefore, God has made, done such a thing that there is no sense of guilt in a cat. And so it can have its food without a sense of guilt. And it can become somebody else's food also. That's how the nature is. So in nature there is no violence, understand? Only human being is capable of violence. In nature there is no violence. Swami, what do you mean there is no violence? There is violence everywhere. You just give the example of a cat, that is violence. This lizard keeps on, jumping and swallowing all those bugs and insects, that's violence. That's not violence. Because in nature there is no unnecessary violence. These creatures consume other creatures only for survival and not more than that. They do it for survival, not out of what shall I say, out of sweet will, that it is my pleasure to just kill somebody. No, just for survival. Human being hurts not for survival. Human being hurts because of anger, because of hatred, because of jealousy, because of other negative tendencies. So what happens in nature cannot be called violence because that is there to maintain the balance of nature, ecological balance. And the violence in nature is generally creative violence because to create something new, the old thing has to die, and that is how all violence is always a creative violence. So what we call non-violence is to be prescribed only to human being because a human being alone is capable of violence which is destructive. In a zoo, I must have said this earlier, in a zoo when you enter, there is one question asked, who is the most cruel creature in the world? For answer, go to the next step, next post. What is the answer? A mirror is an answer. Who is the cruelest? A human being is the most cruel creature, most violent creature. Unfortunately, we have this tendency to hurt or violate, and therefore the importance of non-violence. This very famous rule of do not do unto others what you do not want them to do to you. But to that we should add one more thing. Do to others what you want them to do to you. Non-violence is not merely a static value, it's a dynamic value. He is not just not doing something, but he is doing something positive. Therefore, to a non-violent person, not only refrain from violence, but you should be positive, a kind person. Then only you can be a non-violent person. Only a kind, compassionate person can be a non-violent person. So non-violence is not simply refraining from violence. On the other hand, it also requires you to be a kind and a compassionate person. Non-violence makes us a saint. One value can make us saint. So, as I said, it is possible for us to hurt somebody by our actions at three levels. We perform actions at the level of body, we perform action at the level of speech, we perform action at the level of mind. So by my bodily action, I may hurt somebody. By my words, I may hurt somebody. By my thoughts also, I may hurt somebody. Therefore, non-violence requires me to have a commitment not to hurt others by thought, word or deed. Violence can be at two levels. I can hurt somebody at the physical level, I can hurt somebody at the emotional level. That is also violence. Physical hurting is violence, that is very clear. But when I hurt somebody's feelings, that is also violence. And therefore, in order for me to refrain from violence, it is necessary that I should be sensitive to the feelings and rights and requirements of others. I must respect other people's feelings. I must respect other people's rights. I must respect other people's requirements. Just as I have the right to live and live happily, I respect that others also have a right to live and live happily. Just as I value my freedom, I respect the value of freedom of others. To be a non-violent person requires to be a sensitive person, being sensitive to the feelings and emotions of other people. So non-violence requires me to be a sensitive person. At the level of body, I refrain from doing something that hurts others. Even pulling out grass, plucking leaves, sometimes unnecessarily people do this. While walking, some children or some people just they pluck some leaves from a tree. While sitting on the ground, they keep on plucking the grass. Just a habit. So, being alert and vigilant about my actions so that by my physical action I refrain from hurting somebody. That is relatively easy. Although, when we are talking about this violence at the physical level, it may be of interest to discuss this, our food, vegetarian versus non-vegetarian food. Some people ask this question, Swamiji, why do you say that we should refrain from eating meat? Because animals have life. But plants also have life. So when you are eating vegetables, when you are eating rain, then also you are hurting living beings, are you not? So what's the difference? Whether you kill an animal or you kill a plant, it is violence anyway. So a vegetarian person also, his life also involves violence. That is true. That we cannot survive unless we consume live things. Nobody eats dead thing. You always require live food. So plants have life, vegetables have life, grains have life, we admit. But still, the plants or vegetables or grains, if you look at the evolution, then the plants and etc. are at a much lower level of evolution than the animals. So this unicellular organism ultimately evolves to become the most complete being, most evolved being is a human being. So human is the most evolved being. Animals are less evolved than that. In animals also, a violent animal, a gentle animal is more evolved than a violent animal. Like a cow or a deer is a gentle animal, is more evolved than these violent animals such as tigers, etc. Animals are more evolved than smaller creatures or insects. Insects are maybe more evolved than plants and vegetables. So there is this level of evolution. And therefore, when I consume vegetables or plants, I am using from this nature much less in terms of the growth and evolution than when I am consuming an animal. Therefore, consumption of an animal or flesh involves much more violence than consumption of plant or vegetable. This we should understand. There is a big difference in consuming plants or vegetables and consuming animals or flesh. Not only that, but as our Swamiji says, food, oshadhi, byo, annam. So, food is only plants and vegetables, basically. That's oshadhi or annam. So, even what you eat, like a cow, itself eats only plants or vegetables, only grass. And what happens is, of what a cow consumes in terms of natural resources such as grass, etc., as flesh, you get about 10% of that only. And therefore, in eating meat, we are consuming lots of natural resources. This, I think this is a well-known thing now. Somebody in Japan, somebody actually had worked out in terms of this global warming as to what it takes to consume 1 kilogram of meat. He said that is equal to a car running at 85 miles an hour for 3 hours. So whatever energy you consume, a car running at 85 miles an hour for 3 hours, that energy is consumed in consuming 1 kilogram of flesh. If you take the whole cycle, of course, comes from cow and cow eats grass and then it's transported and packed and all this, so the whole thing is, then it is very energy intensive. We are consuming or we are natural resources. So that also involves a lot of violence. Therefore, eating flesh is a violent thing, and much more violent than eating plants or vegetables. Therefore, prescription of vegetarian food, it is more, at the physical level, we cannot be totally non-violent. At the physical level, our value is to be least violent. And therefore, being a vegetarian is much less violent than being a non-vegetarian or eating meat or flesh. Okay, we'll continue our discussion tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, Swamiji.